Hello everybody, this is the Adafruit CircuitPython Weekly for July 30th, 2018. I'm Scott. I work on CircuitPython on behalf of Adafruit. They sponsor me to work on it. CircuitPython briefly is a version of Python for small embedded microcontrollers that is specifically geared towards making it really easy to learn how to program. So our focus is on getting people who've never programmed in their life programming in an easy and fun way through hardware, which aligns with Adafruit's goal as providing hardware solutions for teaching and making and all sorts of stuff like that. We do this meeting every week on Monday at 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern Time. Everybody's welcome to join. You can join us on our Discord at the URL adafru.it/discord. We're in the text chat pretty much all week, but we only do the voice chat here on Mondays. They are recorded and available on the Adafruit YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/Adafruit. We will post notes with time codes, so if you don't want to listen to the whole thing, but you want to get an idea of what we talked about, check those notes out and you'll be able to skip around. The meeting is structured in like 4 parts. The first part is this general state of CircuitPython, which is a brief rundown on some numbers of the health of the project that I'll go over. And then we'll follow that up with hug reports, which is a chance for people to say thank you to others for the work that they've been doing in the CircuitPython community. We do that as a round robin format. So I'll start giving my hug reports and reading any hug reports from folks who weren't able to make it. And then we'll go down kind of the list of the people in the voice chat for what they want to say. So beware. If you are new to this and you just want to listen, just let us know and we'll skip over you then. We called that lurking. And after hug reports, we'll do status updates as the third thing. It's structured similarly where we do it as a round robin, but this time we want to hear kind of what you've been working on in the last week, whether it's core CircuitPython development work or more broadly some project that you're making with CircuitPython. We want to hear about that too, and then we also want to hear about kind of what your next steps are. It's really good to get people all on the same page, and it's good for people to give tips and tricks for the things that you want to be doing or you might have gotten stuck on. So that's really good. And then lastly, we'll follow that up with a kind of discussion in the weeds section, which is just any big topic that we hit on earlier in the discussion that we want to cover in more detail. We'll do that in the discussion / in the weeds section. It's meant to be the longer form, less information dense part of the stuff, but potentially interesting. So that's the structure of the meeting. Again, everybody's welcome. Join us on Discord, and let's jump into the state of CircuitPython. You'll hear me pause. That's just because I'm taking time codes for the notes, and then we'll get going. So state of CircuitPython, in the last week, we had 11 pull requests merged from 5 different authors, which is pretty typical for us, which is very strong. We had 4 reviewers, which is also really good. More reviewers, the better. And we have 6 new PRs that are open from 6 different authors, including some names that I don't recognize, which is even better. Brennan Notro, Brent Rue, Sindresaurus, myself, and Dan, all new PRs. That leaves us with 15 open pull requests. I ran these numbers last night, so they might be slightly out of date. So if you want to help with reviews, which are like the unsung heroes of pull requests, check out the list in the notes for that. Issues-wise, we had 8 closed issues by 3 people and 10 opened by 8 people. So we're definitely issue positive, but that's okay. And we have 132 open issues. I forgot to mention that these stats are across all of the CircuitPython repos, not just the core repo. So this includes libraries, the newsletter, and the awesome CircuitPython page, which is cool. Download stats wise, for 3.0, which is kind of the only release we have right now because it's our stable release, I was surprised to see that we've already broken 2,000 downloads. I believe it's been out for a week or two now, and so we're definitely getting lots of people downloading it, which is very exciting. To be precise, the number last night was 2,079 total. So I was surprised to see we had broken that, and I think that's really good. Good job, everybody, for making 3.0 super solid. Speaking of that, I think at some point we'll do a 3.01, but I don't know exactly when. And then for 4.0, we're targeting the NRF 52, 840. Tak and Dan and Arturo have been doing really good work with that. And I think we're getting close to doing an alpha release with that. Dan, I always scoop Dan's status updates, but he just got the merge in, so we're now based, our master branch is now based on MicroPython as of like after their latest release 194. We actually pulled kind of further into their history because there was some stuff that we wanted. So preemptively, Dan, thank you for doing that. And that's a good foundation for our alphas as well, because we want to get lots of tests on that. So that is the overview of State of CircuitPython. If you want more details, links and stuff, please check the notes. The script spits out a lot more information than just that. But I'll go on to Hug Reports at this point. After I look at what the time code is. So Hug Reports, I said that earlier, but I'll say it again. They're a chance to just say thank you to people for the work that they've been doing. And so I'll start and give you an example after I take another time code in case people want to skip around. First and foremost, tailing off of what I was just saying, Dan, thank you again for doing the MicroPython merge. We've been talking about this kind of in private, and it gets harder and harder as both MicroPython and CircuitPython grow. But I think it is really important that we do take the time to do that work. So thank you for doing that for 4.0, and I'll be the person that I'll do the next one, since you did this one. Katney, I wanted to say thank you to you for your Pi Ohio stuff. I saw the tweet that Dan was sharing around about how that went. So I'm excited to hear more, but thank you for doing that. I got some glimpses at that the EuroPython folks were around this weekend, which was really, really exciting to see people come in. And I wanted to say, so I think, I don't know much about that. I'll let some other people speak to it. But thank you for everybody who came in there. And if people do have events planned, you can always let us know. And like Dan and Katney and I can try to be online and available, even if we're unable to make your event in person. We could totally do that. Three more Hug Reports, because I thought of lots of stuff. 3bits, I wanted to thank for doing the testing work that they're doing. They're trying to get Rosie set up. We were talking about USB hubs over the weekend, but really trying to make our testing more solid, in particular, making it more solid for devices themselves. I wanted to say thank you to Happy Day for all the work that she's been doing on sleep, really experimenting and trying to figure out how to get sleep working in CircuitPython. It is not easy, and it's good to have somebody who's taking the time to learn all that. And then lastly, Makdam, who's in the voice chat, did their first PR this week, or this weekend, that I pulled last night. So I really appreciate that as well. So thank you for your first PR. And with that, we'll start circling around. Brennan, do you have Hug Reports?
Hey, first of all, can you hear me?
Yes.
Cool. This is the first time I've actually tried to use Discord voice chat.
Sounds good.
I guess some folks have reviewed a couple of pull requests for me lately, and I am at the moment blanking on names, but I do appreciate that effort.
Cool.
That's about all I've got.
Awesome. Thank you. All right, Carter.
Group hug this week.
Group hug. All right, C. Grover. No mic this week? Okay, I'll read it off. Group hug to the team. Special thanks to Katney for her exceptional rotary encoder guide. Found it just in time for a project that was stalled looking for just the right input device. Clear, concise, and easy to read. Oh, and to the HVAC tech who arrived just in time to replace the outside compressor before the worst of the heat wave. Not only dressed every wire with cable ties, he also took the time to teach me how to remove and recharge the refrigerant at no extra cost. Free training. Awesome. It's good to stay cool in the heat. It's been hot here in Seattle too. Been going to like the tea shop to get away from it. Okay, Dan.
So I just echo your exhaustive list of hugs. And also thanks to Jerry who tested, did some really significant testing on the ESP 8266 NRF builds from the merge that I did, and basically found nothing major at the moment. That most of the existing functionality seems to work. So made me feel a lot better about the merge. Okay, so I'll just say that for now.
Cool.
Okay.
Thanks, Dan. All right, Jerry.
Where'd my list go? Yeah, well, again, and thanks, congratulations to Dan for that epic merge. That was quite a slog, I'm sure. And special thanks to Hatach for taking time to walk me through and clarify a lot of misunderstandings I had about the way the bootloader works on the NR52. I had a great conversation with him the other morning. I learned a lot from, and I got to play with things a lot more after that. And congratulations, Kattni, on the Pi Ohio. That's it.
Awesome. Thanks, Jerry. Kattni.
Yeah. So I want to first of all thank Phil and Adafruit for sponsoring my tutorial. They provided Circuit Playground Expresses for me and for everybody who was attending my tutorial. I want to thank my friends Craig Maloney and Waldo for helping out during the tutorial. I want to thank Roy, Phil M, Dan, and Scott for a lot of support leading up to the conference. Public speaking is super stressful for me, so it was super helpful to have that. And a hug to the community for being amazing. I'm really excited about the new people that are going to be joining, and I'm really excited about the fact that I know that they're going to have a great experience. So thanks everybody for being great.
Yay. All right. Speaking of new people, Mokdam.
Hi. So first of all, I wanted to thank the people who organized the EuroPython sprint this weekend. So as you could have seen, some people came into the Discord and nagged you with questions. Also, I'd like to thank Jerian and Dan for helping me out with my first commit to CircuitPython. And also thank you for reviewing it, because reviewing is hard work.
Happy to get more people coming in, and welcome. I'm super happy that Radomir did that, and we'll be excited to thank him on the chat later. All right, Mike's lurking, so Nis, you're next.
I knew he was going to sandbag me. Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, you sound good.
Good, thanks. So do you.
Thank you.
Hug to Jerry for a couple different things. Especially the, it's in my head, but I can't say it in English. The A0, A1, A2 SPI thing with Circuit Playground Express. And especially to Dan this week for pointing the Atmel start out to Happy Day. So I kind of benefited from that quite a bit. I put in about 20 hours into it since he mentioned it. And that's going to be part of my progress report later.
Cool. Thanks for the preview.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks.
Yeah. All right, Roy.
Just a group to everybody.
Okay.
Glad good to be back.
Yeah, you were on vacation, right?
Vacation, then stupidly busy before that.
Yeah. Well, glad to have you back. Okay, that was a round of hug reports. Thank you, everybody. Now we'll do status updates. I'll take another time code so that people can hear me explain it. Status updates, we do a similar format. We'll do a round robin. We want to talk about the things that we've been working on and the things that we plan on working on. so that everybody can be aware of it and also get tips and tricks about ways to do the stuff that we're working on. And I will start after I take another time code. I'm working on kind of two things in parallel. The first is I did the PR for the flexible memory allocation stuff, which will grow the heap sizes a bit, allow us to change the stack size, and give us the ability later on to change the main file that we run and to change the USB descriptors we run with. I got the pull request out and then promptly discovered we didn't have enough code space to actually fit it. So I started working on compressing all of the strings in the binary. And then there was some conversations at the same time about doing internationalization. So all of our like error text and the like control or like CircuitPython flow text will all be translatable. So I got the PR out for the memory changes, and then I've started working on doing internationalization and string compression to get more space into our code. Tentative like compression stats, I think I can get like 2 or 3K back, which is pretty significant, especially for those small builds. But in the meantime, Dan's done the merge, and the merge actually gives us some space back as well. So my plan going forwards this week is to try to get the memory changes in before the string stuff, because the memory stuff should be able to fit with after the merge because of Dan, I'm hoping, because I just don't want to have to do those two giant changes together. And then I'll follow up with the internationalization stuff because internationalization can take a while to get the translations in. So I'm looking forward to getting that done and in there. I can talk more later about the string compression if people are interested. And then once those two things are done and in, I'm going to be working on graphics and rendering stuff, probably based on the work that Radomir has done with the stage stuff. But there's been more desire to support shape drawing and more fancy text stuff. So instead of the frame buff module that's in MicroPython currently. So that will be next after the other stuff. And that's me. Brennan, how about you?
So, done a bit of stuff lately with getting some libs. PyPy or PyPI, what do we say?
I think I do both.
I've heard them pronounce it PyPI, as in the
Anyway.
PyPI folks.
Oh yeah, the people who actually work on it.
No. All right. Yeah. So I've done some of that lately. I am kind of turning over that work to Kattni, I think, and going to just be doing a slew of testing of these libraries on like the Raspberry Pi 3 and doing some documentation stuff.
Okay.
For using those things.
So you'll pipeline it. Kattni will get it in pip PyPI, and you'll make sure it all works. Oh, I think I just lost you.
You hear me?
Now I can hear you, yeah.
Yeah, that's correct.
Cool. All right, thanks, Brennan. Carter?
Nothing much new to report in terms of CircuitPython stuff. I got a guide out last week that had some CircuitPython code in it, though.
Yay, what guide?
It was Treasure Hunt. So kind of a cute little idea where they uses the IR, you send out a unique code, and you have another one that's programmed to the hunter to go find all the hidden things that are sending out IR codes. So more of a user last week than a developer.
Right, but that's just as good.
Yep. So writing some cool examples of CircuitPython.
And it worked all out okay? Everything was good?
It seemed to. You know, it worked for me in my little demos, so we'll get it out there and see if, as people use it, you know, they can feedback like, oh, you know, it's kind of, with our class of 30 kids, some fun behavior started emerging, etc.
Huh. Cool. That sounds really interesting.
It's live and out there to play with.
Awesome. That's cool. Thank you for letting us know about that. And if you want to drop a link, please do. Drop a link in the chat and we'll get it in the notes. Okay, C. Grover just posted, and I'll read it off. C. Grover says, put software development on hold again this week in order to complete a redesign of the Crunchable Synth PCB platform due to some mechanical issues with the TS and the TRS jacks. It's tough to find vertical PCB mounted TS and TRS jacks with the same height dimension. Alas, using the experience to continue to fine-tune my KiCad skills, led an SMD hot air soldering rework workshop at the local makerspace last week, was surprised to see the interest level. Although all attendees had hand-soldered SMD components in their projects, none had made the next step to hot air soldering. Lots of oohs and ahs when the solder face flashed and components aligned themselves. This week's work will be sponsored by CircuitPython and Ancestry.com. The synth code and associated library should be done by Thursday. I need to put on blinders after that and wrap up the ancestor search so that I can stop paying the subscription fee. I now know where we come from and was able to dispel a couple of fantastic stretch stories that usually make the rounds and are amplified during the family reunion. And that Crunchable synth module looks really interesting. I don't know if you were in here when I was talking about the PSS 140, but I want to do some cool circuit bendy stuff with it, which should be exciting. I want to get into audio, but I think the graphic stuff is gonna supplant it briefly. But we'll get there. Okay, Dan.
So, yes, this merge, I finished this merge, which took like almost 3 weeks, I think, and not continuously, but, and I've also been, I fixed some Windows drivers issues. We're trying to fix a new issue, which may have started because of a new update to Windows that, on Windows 10, if you install Arduino, it installs a version of the drivers that you can no longer see the boot drive when you double click, which is kind of bad.
Right.
Just for Circuit Playground Express. So I think I have a fix for that. And I'm just starting to work on the NRF 52 stuff, mostly trying to understand what's going on. And there's a couple of outstanding bugs, in particular the long-lived dictionary issue where if you define a class in between something, it sort of screws things up. We really need to fix that, I think so.
Yeah, I think that was just like don't long live the global dictionary.
Probably, or don't long live what's inside it, just
right
itself or something. I don't know. We can talk about that. But yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks, Dan. Dakota, we're doing status updates, so I'll run down the rest of the list and get back to you if you want to do it. So Jerry.
Yeah, it seems like the week flew by. I'm not quite sure what I did, but not a lot of non-circuit Python stuff, a lot of Raspberry Pi stuff, and finally got my Ubuntu system upgraded to 1804, which you can now do direct, from, you can do a direct migration from 1604 to 1804 without having to start from scratch, which is nice. And it worked, nothing broke.
That's good.
Found a bunch of time to played a lot with the NRF 52 stuff, especially after, again, coaching by Attach. And then doing the other, just trying to keep up with and testing the new versions, the new merge stuff. I also managed to get a hold of one of the little Esperino boards and having a blast with that. It's a lot of fun. I've been intending and trying to learn a little bit about JavaScript, and it's a cute little device.
I was gonna say, what do you like about it? What do they do well?
Oh, well, just the interface, to be able to, again, it comes up with a nice little REPL, and you can just start typing code into it, and it does stuff. You can blink an LED in about one line of code. So it's just, that part's fun. The Bluetooth, it's all done via a BLE interface. So it's just kind of fun. Yeah, you this little board, you just put power into it, and then bring up a little web device screen with connect to via Bluetooth, and you're up and running.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I was surprised how much fun it was. Looks like it'll be
nice.
And then if anyone watching the chat this morning, I've been struggling all morning with this new TFT display, the new little OLED, and I'm just thoroughly confused. So if anybody has any pointers or point me in any direction for getting any information about how to make this thing work, I'd appreciate it.
That's the one with the joystick next to it.
Yeah,
I did.
I can't. I'm obviously just doing something completely wrong, but it looks like the guide information, and there isn't a guide yet, and there doesn't seem to be any specific driver for it. So maybe it's just too early.
Yeah, we should figure that out. I picked one up myself, so I have one of those as well, and I'll definitely be getting to the graphic stuff shortly, and I want to support that. So
Okay,
we'll get it sorted out.
That's fine. And like I said, so that might, I guess maybe that's the lesson learned. It's just not quite there yet. So that's fine. I can set it. I got plenty of other things to play with.
Yeah, it just like Dean does some of that stuff, and he does the Arduino side, but sometimes the CircuitPython side falls behind it a little bit.
Yeah, looks like a really cool board, and at least got the seesaw to talk to it, and not quite successfully, but it talked to it. So it's
cool.
Looks like fun.
We'll figure it out. We'll get it going.
Yeah,
do you have any update on the TMP 007? I think is what it is.
Oh no, I mean I should, but it's sitting there and it's working. It just got to find time to try and push it into a releasable form. So I can try and prioritize that this week.
Okay, I just every week I see that come up, and if it's working, it's good enough, Jerry. We can release it as beta. It's fine.
All right, I'll push something out, and you can comment on it when I get the DRM. So.
Yeah, perfect. And then like other people can help polish it up as well.
Okay.
Early and often, Jerry. Early and often.
Right.
Thanks. Okay, Katney.
So last week, finished up a couple of guides with IR, and currently working a guide for a zombie game using Circuit Playground Express, CircuitPython, and Infrared. We are troubleshooting the MakeCode version of that right now because I keep finding a problem that we can't seem to replicate, but I can replicate it every time. So we're trying to sort that out. This weekend I found a bug in the starter motor code. I was using the Feather library. The error is not in the Featherwing library. It's somewhere deeper. There's something needs like a frequency setter or something to that effect. Carter was looking into it after I found it, so we should probably fix that up because I know we're doing a lot of stuff with motors and robotics and all that kind of thing. So
is there an issue for it?
Not yet, because I didn't know where to file it because I wasn't sure where the issue was.
Okay.
So we can talk about that when we get in the weeds. And the next thing I'm picking up is going to be getting the rest of the libraries into PyPI. Okay. And this past weekend, I did a tutorial at Pi Ohio, which is a Python conference in Ohio. It's annual. It went really well, I think. Everybody seemed really excited. I did it using Circuit Playground Express and the CPX lib. And I think it went really well. People seemed really receptive. There were a lot of when you type in one line of code and some amazing thing happens, a lot of oohs and ahs, which is always a lot of fun. There was video, however there are sound issues, so I'm not sure that the video is going to end up being published or be all that useful, but we'll see what they say once they get a chance to actually look at it and review it. I don't know if they have another audio track or not, so we'll see whether that ends up published. But we had our little CircuitPython cards went into all the swag bags. So a lot of people hopefully will get some CircuitPython interests, and we'll see what happens. I already had a bunch of people come up to me who didn't get to make it to the tutorial who were asking questions about different things they could do with CircuitPython, and a few people already bought Circuit Playground Expresses
cool.
to be able to go back and do it at a later date. So
that's awesome.
Anyway, yeah, that's me.
Cool. Thanks, Katney. And as always, thank you for helping me with the notes. And some other folks have been putting their notes in as well, so thank you all.
Yes, thanks everybody.
If you don't know, I've been having trouble typing with my hands being a little like unhappy with me. So any help typing stuff into the notes doc is very welcome. So thank you for that. Okay, Makdam.
Okay, I don't have much when it comes to a status report. I spent the last week on EuroPython, so it was fun. I guess there are already streams uploaded, but not cut up into talks. So if you're interested, yeah, you'll have to find the talk you want to watch in the daily stream.
Okay. And you were saying there was a meetup that Deshipu ran?
Well, there was an open space meeting about gaming with Dan Pope, Deshipu, and other people who made games.
Okay.
There was another open space organized by Radomir about education and CircuitPython, MicroPython, embedded Python in general.
Right.
And there was a sprint during the weekend. So the idea is to introduce new people to a project community and how the process works when it comes to committing stuff.
And was that for CircuitPython or MicroPython or what?
So it was for CircuitPython and Deshipu's boards in general. Yep. So some people wrote games in Python, and it was fun
for the micro game.
Yeah.
Cool. We're gonna be doing more gaming stuff, so I'm really curious to see how that went and get your impressions on it. So thanks for the report and welcome. Happy to have you. Okay.
Thanks.
Mike is lurking, so we'll go to Nis.
Got a lot to queue up here.
Okay.
There we go. I'm working on Atmel Start SAMD 51. I did very well with it with the SAMD 21, but I'm having a little GPIO toggling issue on the SAMD 51. I'm using the origin of 0x4000, which I believe is correct, but I haven't verified that.
Yeah, if you have our bootloader.
I based my linker script off the one that was in the Seesaw for the Cricket, which is a SAMD 21, and that used the 2000 address.
Right.
So I think 4000 appears to be working, but I can't. I'm so primitive I can't test it properly because GPIO doesn't seem to toggle.
Did you load the bootloader as well?
Through the Arduino IDE.
Okay, so your board will have the bootloader on it already.
Yeah, it's validated. I've even run a pretty sophisticated program. It's the Feather M4 Express.
Okay.
And I think I've got the right MCU, the J19A.
Yeah, that looks right to me.
So it's a little bit of a puzzle because the Atmel Start worked just fine with the SAMD 21. And so the few problems I needed to solve, I was able to solve on that platform. But as soon as I went to the 51, haven't really, I guess you could call it progress, because when I first started with the wrong origin address, it returns to the bootloader with the steady green and the blinking red.
Right.
When you double click.
Yep.
And it no longer does that. So I think I've got the origin correct at 4000 there.
Yeah, so you're getting into your code a little bit, but then maybe you're crashing.
I'm not sure so much crashing as maybe not executing. I really don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
Anyway, I put in a GitHub link so people can take a look at what I'm doing.
Yeah, usually when I get to that point, that's when I'll use a GDB and a JLink to figure out where the code's ending up.
Yeah, I don't have any experience with the GDB, but I thought of that last night. That's probably what I should be doing.
Yeah, I think my guide that I did a while back for the 21, it's the same process for the 51. So you
how do you hook that up electrically? You got to use the Seger?
Yeah.
There's no
for the M.
It's not like the Zero where you can use the programmer's port.
Right. It's not like the Arduino Zero that has it built in. You need like the EDU JLink or the regular JLink. Or the Blackmagic Probe doesn't support the 51 yet.
Okay. Oh, by the way, I did get the UART working on the SAMD 51, talking to the the Pi UART, which is CP2104.
Mm-hmm.
And I decided to go with that because I think tackling USB on bare metal is going to be a little bit way over my head.
It's tough, yeah. Definitely tough. It's doable though. You can figure it out.
Okay.
All
right.
Cool. Well, keep it up and feel free to ask more questions about it. Happy to help debug.
Oh, and all this was stimulated by Happy Day's wish to get the low power thing going. That's what got me interested in the bare metal stuff again.
Cool. Yeah, bare metal's super fun. I enjoy it a lot.
It's very rewarding. I'm learning a lot. So anyway, thank you. I'm taking up too much time here.
Cool. Well, thank you a lot.
You're welcome.
Okay, Roy.
Nothing much to update, just catching up with what's been going on over the past few weeks.
Okay.
And hoping to hop back into working on the stuff for LEDs.
Sweet. Yeah, happy to see that move forward. And thinking about it in terms of the rendering stuff I'm thinking about as well. So thank you, Roy. Dakota, do you have status updates or hug reports to do? I know you jumped in late.
Just a big hug report for the community in general. I'm basically just a noob lurking at this point, hoping to become a useful member of the community at some point down the road once I kind of know a little bit more about what's going on.
Yay! Welcome. Thank you for joining the meeting. Happy to have you. I know you came in late, so we kind of do 3 sections. We do state of CircuitPython, we do hug reports, which you just did, and status updates, which you did as well. So now we'll do the last section, which is we called kind of discussion / in the weeds. And I will take a time code.
Yeah, I'm happy to just be a fly on the wall, so you don't have to do anything special to take care of me. Thanks.
No worries. I just want to make sure you know what's going on. I don't know if you've listened to prior meetings or whatever, so just letting you know. Okay, so this is the last section, as I said, discussion / in the weeds, where we just talk about any kind of longer form stuff that we want to discuss and maybe make decisions on. The first one that came up was Kattni and Carter's motor bug. So do you want to talk about that?
Sure, Kat, you want to start and say what happened?
Yeah, sure. So I have a friend who is trying to automate a chicken coop and wants to use a stepper motor to open and close the door. And so we got them hooked up with one of the Adafruit, the feather wings, the stepper motor feather wing. And I expected to be able to, obviously, in 4 lines of code, make that go using the Featherwing library. And what failed was it said, what did it say? It said there was nothing for frequency. Like PWM doesn't have frequency. So I dug a little deeper, and it was failing on line 77 and 78 of the stepper motor library itself. And in looking at it, it looks like we may have updated the API to require that you set needing a frequency to true to be able to include a frequency or something like that. Either way, that's as far as I got it figured out, and I didn't have the hardware in front of me anymore to be able to try anything. This is where Carter picked it up.
Right, and I guess I can give you the short answer or the long answer, because there's a lot of layers in terms of what's going on.
We're in the weeds, so the long answer is fine.
Okay, so got about 4 different GitHub tabs open here. So this is an example. Let's start here of how one of the Featherwing kind of, I guess maybe it's doing lazy or static. I haven't really scrolled through this enough to see, but that's an example of one of the possible 4 steppers.
Right.
The rest are just similar boilerplate.
Yep.
So you can see it's passing in 4 PCA channels.
Yep.
So that's coming off the PCA. So now if you look in stepper motor, these are the lines where it was actually failing once it gets passed in the initializer for the stepper motor. So it's basically trying to do a setter on the frequency of that coil. And if you scroll up a couple of lines from there, you can see coil is nothing but just a tuple of what got passed in terms of the PWM channels.
Right.
So you're going to be calling dot frequency on one of those PCA channels. So then you got to go over to the PCA library. And here is where it creates its channels. And then a PCA channels is nothing. And if you go to that last link and scroll up, you'll see the classes for PCA channels and PWM channel. So PCA channels is nothing but several PWM channels. And now if you look in the PWM channel class, there is no setter for frequency. There's only an app property.
Right.
So that line 78 is trying to call the setter of PWM channel, and there isn't one.
And this is for the Featherwing?
This is how I found it.
Yeah, and this is my drilling through it too. Yeah.
Yeah, because the Featherwing, that's a wrapper library, if you recall, that you actually wrote the code for that.
Yeah.
And I don't think that is the problem. That's why I didn't file the issue on that. It calls all of this stuff in the background, but you do import stepper, and that's how the cascade failure started. That's where I found it.
So I believe the issue is possibly in the PCA library with the lack of a frequency setter.
Right. Yeah, kind of.
But that's a blaring omission that maybe, this is why it's good to have this discussion here. Like, no, there was a reason we did that, because you have it's designed in a certain way.
Well, the thing is that it's the reason it's like that is that the frequency can't vary across the channels, right? Like the frequency is shared across all of the PWM channels of the PCA chip. So the question is then like the stepper motor library doesn't change the frequency, it changes duty cycle when it's actually doing the stepping. So perhaps set a safe PWM frequency for each output. That seems not like a comment I would write. Did I write that?
Can I ask a stupid question?
Yes, please.
My sometimes a stupid question is the answer. Isn't the frequency of the stepper motors kind of a given going in?
The frequency of the stepper motors? In terms of it doesn't change at all, you just set it once?
Yeah, don't you normally set that up and then just vary the pulse width to get your speed or whatever?
Yeah, I think so. I think it looks like that's what the library is doing.
So when this is looking for the frequency, shouldn't that have already been set? Because I noticed when he's coming in at the one place in the def init section, just a few lines down, there's a frequency setter module that should have already probably been called by something prior.
Right.
It looks like in the code that line was altered a month ago.
Yeah.
So there may have been something.
Yeah, it looks like Dean added it.
Wasn't by you.
Yeah.
So is there there's no pull request.
And I couldn't get it to work without the wrapper library either. I found
I think
the raw code and I couldn't get it. So that's why I didn't think it was in the library, but I didn't know where to file the issue.
I think it's on motor. Oh, wait.
Okay.
Who approved it? Dan approved it. So it was pull requested, which is good.
So I think if I remember right, it was the default was 50 or something.
Right.
I mean, it was
for Seesaw.
Right. So the problem is that it's too low. It's a too low level to know that it's. Well,
No, I think you're right. Like I would just that needs to be moved up a library, right? Like the feather wing library could make sure that the PCA is at 2000 frequency before it passes the individual channels in. And whatever seesaw one that he's talking about could also do the same.
so you could say, so take it out of stepper motor.
Yeah. Do it earlier.
But people might call stepper motor themselves. So.
Right. I mean, it's not the end of the world if their frequency is different. It's just less than ideal. But it is pretty, like the frequency you run the PWM at for steppers, I think is pretty, oh, sorry. Just hit the mic. Pretty arbitrary, I think.
Because
right. It just should be a lot higher than 50 or something, I think. That's,
yeah. What did you say, Dakota?
Because you can do micro stepping or something, right, to get finer resolution. Isn't that how it works? Again, my knowledge here is just minimal enough to be dangerous.
Yeah, I think the micro stepping is just like varying the duty cycles to try to like get it magnetized in between.
Right. I think it's more like it might overheat or something. There's some reason why what the definition of safe is, and I don't remember what it is.
Yeah.
All right, maybe Dean and I have to have a discussion about this or something.
The misunderstanding is that the PCA doesn't assume that you can set the frequency on a per channel basis, whereas the code that Dean added does. It assumes that you can set frequency on a per channel basis.
Right. Well, it could check whether the frequency is already 2000.
Yes.
Like, and then only try to change it if it's, and then
I'd rather just throw an exception.
Yeah. That makes more sense. So maybe I'll try to put in something like that.
Yeah, I think it's fair for the stepper motor to be like read the frequency of every channel and be like warning, like, or just explicitly say like you set it to 2000 before you give it to us.
Yeah.
Or like you said, Scott, the frequency set at the whole PCA level. There is really no per channel frequency.
Right. Well, like there is a per channel frequency in terms of like you can read it, like you can read it kind of from the perspective of every channel, but you can't set it individually. So like the stepper motor can validate that every channel it's given is running at what it would expect, but it doesn't know how to change it. All right, cool. Well, I think we got to the bottom of that and we have a plan to fix it.
Right. There's an issue. All right. I can't.
No, where do you want me to file it?
Yeah, exactly. This discussion was about where to point the finger.
File the issue on motor.
Yes, I agree.
Okay.
Cool.
Because that's where the change was too. So I would refer to PR7 as well.
Okay.
Katney, you're on that?
Yep.
Okay, excellent.
Sweet. All right, good job, everybody. We'll get it sorted out. That's the tricky part of the way that Python works, of like the duck typing, where you just like, if the thing I'm given has these properties and I can do that, then it'll work. But there's no like formal way to say what those expectations are. So these are the types of bugs you get as a result of that.
Yeah, so Carter, you can just say like, and we think it should just check and complain or something, as opposed to try to set. Or it could try to set, it could check if it's wrong, it could try to change it. If it can't change it, then it will throw an exception. That's probably the most friendly thing to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I leave it up to the person who actually fixes it.
Yeah. Which I think is me. I think,
yeah, you could do that. Okay. Are there any other topics people want to chat about? Always crickets.
Sure, I'll ask a quick question.
Okay.
It's related to what we just talked. It kind of made me remember that there's a whole repo called CircuitPython_Featherwing.
Yep.
And it looks like not much has been happening to it in quite a while.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea of it was to have, correct me if I'm wrong on this, but it looks like the idea was to have kind of like CPX kind of similar helper libraries for all the feather wings.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you kind of could wrap things up, which is a cool idea. Is that still something that we kind of want to pursue and keep moving on? Because I know a lot of times we do things with CPX where we kind of go ahead and not bring it in because it is kind of a big chunk to bring in.
Well, in this case, it loads them separately. It's not loading everything at once because you're calling, the individual wing
right
separately. So it's not quite as big as the CPX stuff. And I think we did want to pursue it. It was something I was working on, but I was, things were prioritized. So,
sure. Yeah. No problem. I was kind of like, this looks like some fun stuff to maybe when I find some free time to start contributing on. I just want to make sure it wasn't an idea that kind of has fallen by the wayside and wasn't really going to.
No, it just wasn't a priority. I have a lot of stuff done on the .star featherwing, but other than that, we didn't get any further with it.
I really like that structure. I think it's worked out well for us.
Oh yeah.
And the new featherwing that Jerry was just talking about is a perfect candidate for it as well.
Right, exactly. The other thing is there's several .pies in there, but there's also a lot of feather wings that haven't even doesn't look like they've even had an entry started yet.
Yep.
Correct.
Yeah, I think it would be awesome to get work on that.
Okay, so that isn't something that's been like tossed by the wayside. It's still a desire to have that repo.
I think
absolutely.
I think Kattni's kind of taking the lead on the libraries, and Dan and I are somewhat trying to ignore them and focus on the core work. So any help on libraries and library reviews, as you've already been doing, is super helpful and very welcome. It's just a matter of figuring out where our priorities lie and what our time is best spent doing.
Right. Okay. Yeah, no problem. Thanks.
Scott, on the topic of reviews, you said, you're asking for more review help. I sort of, do you want individuals just to go and review, make comments? How far should we go in that sense? In other words, make comments on them. Do you want, if we think it's okay, should we go ahead and merge them?
Yeah.
What level of of trust do you have in the people?
I have a lot of trust in people. I think the most important thing with reviews is just getting eyeballs and getting that workflow going. And it's also important if you want to reinforce that workflow to have quick response. So I don't expect reviews to be perfect because just like code, they'll never be perfect. And so I'd rather just get more people on board and make sure that we're responsive more than whether we're perfect and super thorough on it.
Okay, that's good. I've been shying away from it, but I'll try and get more active on that side.
No, I mean, Jerry, there's been a number of times where you've chimed in and said, "Yeah, I tested this and it works," and I just hit merge.
Well, I guess the question is, are you comfortable if I test it and it works? Should I hit merge?
Yeah. Yeah, please.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the step I've been reluctant to take, but I can start doing more of.
Yeah, I think, and feel free to do releases as you feel fit, as well, because once it's merged, it's not necessarily released. The one thing that kind of bugs me sometimes is we don't always write good release notes. So just say if you want to do releases, there's this kind of standard format that I've tried to push where we say here's the changes, here's how you install it, and here's where you can find the documentation. We should realize that sometimes people will look at release notes really early on when they find a library. And so we need to make sure that there's some baseline quality to the release notes when we do a release.
Yeah, and I discovered accidentally when you cut and paste one release to another, it cuts and pastes the links, even though they're generic. It says here from one release doesn't work for another release.
Mm-hmm.
You have to actually go and read them.
Yeah, you do. But usually what I'll do is I'll just edit the previous release. If the person who did the last release was good, I'll just edit that, copy it, and then start from there for the next release notes.
Good. All right, thanks.
But yeah, please feel free to merge, feel free to release. Just like everything, we'll just try to blaze through it. Like if bugs come up, we'll just fix them and we'll release them. It's not a big deal. It's more important that we build that culture of like everybody who finds that issue can submit a pull request and get it reviewed quickly and released quickly. That's far more important than catching the bug the first time.
Great. Okay.
Simply because you can't catch them all the first time. It's better to be responsive to bugs than thinking that you're going to be perfect finding them the first time.
Move fast and break things.
Yep.
Okay.
And
Cool.
fix things fast too. That was early on when you started joining with CircuitPython. I felt bad because you were constantly finding my bugs, but I figured it was okay as long as I would fix them quickly.
No, I think that's been great, and I'm not afraid to break things.
Sweet. And that goes for everybody else too. If you want to do reviews, like reviews are a great way to start. I'm totally happy. Even if you don't have commit rights, if you just chime into a review that's outstanding that nobody's looked at and say, hey, I tested this and I looked at the code and it seems reasonable, Dan or Kattni or I can just jump in and merge it on your behalf, just kind of to get you ramped up.
We actually covered both giving and receiving reviews in the Git and GitHub guide on purpose, because we want everybody to be a part of the review process, even if you don't have right access to the repo. Any kind of help, because you may know something we don't know there, and even if you don't know everything that happened in that PR, review the part that you do know. And that helps us, because that's one extra step that we don't have to do, and one step closer to the whole thing being reviewed and merged. So if there's, a review that has some stuff in it that you're like, I don't really know what this part is, review the part that you do know, and that is super helpful for us as well.
I was just going to add too that it would be really helpful. I know for me, if in a PR, to state just briefly where it has been tested. So I might think, oh, gee, well, I know it's been tested on a SAMB 21, then maybe I'll test it on a 51 or an NR 52 or something like that, just to know where not to replicate, and also gives a better sense of confidence that, oh, okay, I don't have to worry about checking that part.
Right.
So.
Yeah, and like the next thing you can always do is ask that as well.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Awesome. Anything else? I did enjoy Roy's cricket. It took me a while to realize it. All right, I'll wrap us up here. 5804. Again, everybody, thank you for joining. We do this CircuitPython weekly meeting every week on our Discord. Happens usually on Mondays at 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern. To join our Discord, I'm gonna sneeze. Maybe if I say it fast, I won't sneeze. Join our Discord. The URL is adafru.it/discord. We're in the text chat all week, so you can join us there and see what's happening in CircuitPython land and tell us what cool projects you're working on with that. And then on Mondays we'll be in the voice chat. That is where the meeting happens. We do record the meeting, so if you aren't able to make it, check our YouTube page, youtube.com/Adafruit, to see the latest. The link goes up on the playlist there, and it also goes up into the Python for Microcontrollers newsletter, which everybody should also subscribe to. It's adafruitdaily.com, and then there's a selection of newsletters you can sign up for. Check the Python for Microcontrollers box and hit submit. That's kind of broad overview of everything related to Python and Python on microcontrollers that's happened in the last week or so. We cover MicroPython, CircuitPython, regular Python, all that. That's adafruitdaily.com. And this was the Adafruit CircuitPython Weekly. Thanks again for everybody's joining, especially the couple new folks. we're happy to have you join our community. So until next week, thank you all.
Thanks, everybody, and welcome.
Thanks.